Hello, Ron Briggs, Blackmore Vale Honey, and welcome back to the channel. It's now May, and what a glorious day it is today. We are up at the Apiary, first inspection of the month, and it is glorious. It is, however, quite early. It is only, it's only about 9:30, I think, 9:45. So it's 9:45. We got out early because the temperatures are going to get up today. And it's absolutely fine. I think we're at 16 degrees in the car on the way here, so 16 degrees is fine. All the bees are flying, and it's good. And the other reason I came early is I had 2 colonies I wanted to move, so I closed them up last night, and we put them in the car this morning. So obviously you don't want it too hot for that. So I've already dealt with one of those because I'm leaving it in the nuke. So that's been put in place and opened, and the other ones, because they're still sealed up, that's the first ones we're going to deal with this morning. So yeah, there we are. Well, welcome back to May. Look after yourselves in the heat, guys. So I'm into now. I've got shorts on under my bee suit. I've got boots, but they're walking boots, lightweight walking boots, and not wellies, are black and hot, because you are going to get hot and sweaty, and have plenty of water on board, especially if you've got a couple of you're away from home and you've got a couple of hives to do. Right, so the smoker's lit. Let's get going. So what I want to talk to you first of all today about is swarming. So because a couple of things have come up the last few days. So since, well, if you remember on the last video, I went and collected that massive swarm. So since then, that was only last Thursday, I think it was. So that was 6 days ago. So since then, I've had 2 swarm calls, and also we've had a number of calls to bees that have got into houses, 3 in fact. So that to me is, some of that is bad beekeeping. Granted, not all of it. Some of it's where people have not clipped their queens, or they're not, they've not been checking their colonies regular, and so they've lost swarms, and that happens. But a couple of things that happen fairly regular in relation to swarms that do annoy me a little bit, and that is one where people say, somebody phones up and says, "I've got a swarm, can you come and help?" And they say, "Oh no, they can't. Yeah, don't worry about it. They'll leave them alone. They're harmless. They'll go on. They'll move on shortly." Well, yeah, they do move on shortly, but they could then move into someone's house or someone's chimney. And that's just not fair. So like I said before, as beekeepers, I think we've got a duty to attend all calls of swarms. Let me, that smoker's going well, isn't it? Let's get rid of that. But if you can't make a swarm, you can't make it. Say you can't make it, and try and get someone else, or get them to, give them some advice on where they can get them. The British Beekeepers Association, if you go on their website, they have a swarm location map. So if you get a swarm, you can be on there, and they will come and you'll find your nearest swarm collector, and if that one's not available, you can phone the next one, and so on and so forth. So yeah, don't ever give that advice, because one of those I went to this week gave the advice. So they're a little bit high up. Yeah, don't worry about it, leave them, they'll move on. They did move on straight into that woman's roof. Now, unfortunately, she had scaffolding up, so we are going to be able to go and rescue those, but that's still going to cost her money. So it's just not fair. So we should always go to calls of swarms. That's the first thing. And secondly, I think we need to be making sure that our bees aren't swarming, and that's what I want to move on to today. What's become apparent to me over the last couple of years is people are not understanding actually what happens when it comes to swarming. And you only need to read the Facebook socials, and I know from experience and calls I've had, etc., that people are just not quite dealing with it right. So if you get right, let's first of all, let's talk about what swarming is. The swarming. So there's swarm prevention and there's swarm control. Swarm prevention is exactly that. You're just preventing them from swarming. And swarm control is where they've already gone into swarm prep, and now you need to control how that swarm happens. All right, so that's your two differences. So swarm prep in the main for a newbie, a new person who's not queen rearing and that kind of stuff. The only thing you can really do is give them space. Give them plenty of space. Give them plenty of space and understand what swarming's all about. Because if you give them plenty of space, that can prevent them from swarming. But not always. I mean, you only need to look at that one we did up there last week. It wasn't full, really small colony, and it went into swarm preparations. So, you're never going to be able to stop it. Swarming is natural. It's a natural thing that happens, and so we just have to deal with it when it happens. So the moment you see swarm cells, that's it. You're into swarm control, not swarm prevention, because they have now gone into swarm prep mode, and they're going to swarm. And there ain't a lot that you can do about it to stop it. In fact, next to nothing. Knocking down queen cells is not going to work. Simply not going to work. All you're going to do if you knock down a queen cell is give yourself a couple of days maximum, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if you think that by knocking down the swarm cells you're going to stop them swarming, you're not. You're literally not. I said before, they're into swarm preparations, and you're not going to be able to stop them. So think about the numbers. So why do we do weekly checks? We do weekly checks because for a number of reasons, but one of them is to check for swarm cells and swarm prep. So let's say you go in there and they've got queen cells and you knock them all down. So where does where do they start that process? They start that process from young larvae, right? So young larvae, 2 to 3 days old. Right, so you've knocked down all your queen cells. They will immediately know and start raising new ones. So where are they going to raise those from? They're going to raise those from young larvae at 2 to 3 days old. Okay, and then when do they swarm? They swarm on the evening that it's sealed. So they normally, the queen cells get sealed normally the evening of day 8, but let's call it day 8, day 9. All right, and so you've now they're going to choose a young larvae at say 2 to 3 days old. Okay, so if they're going to swarm on day 8, that's 5 days. You're going to come back 7 days later, half your colony's gone, because you're thinking, oh, I'm doing my weekly checks, life's all good, and then half your colony's gone. You want to know why? Well, the reason being is because you've not dealt with the swarming. You can't. Taking swarm cells down is just not good. It's just not good at all. Full stop. So you need the moment you see that, you need to go into it. You need to do a split. You need to do something, artificial split or something to control that swarm. Hello, ladies. So how are we going to do that? Well, there's a whole host of different ways of doing it, but the point is you need to do it then. And if you're going to an out apiary, you need to make sure on every visit you've got the equipment you need to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to have to come back again. Simple as that. Right, I'm just going to put these girls into here. So that leads me on to the next question I get a lot is when should I inspect my bees? How often should I inspect my bees? Well, first of all, don't forget, you need to have a reason to inspect your bees. And the reasons normally, have they got enough space? Is it queen right? That doesn't necessarily mean you're having to find the queen. Just the fact that they've got eggs is enough to do that. And also they're showing no signs of swarm prep. So that's the reasons why. A queen excluder, yeah, cool. Right, so incidentally, going off subject now, your super you don't really need to inspect. Okay, so this one is relatively light, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in to probably frame 4. Yep, that's got some stores on it. Then the middle frame, yeah, so they're starting to go into there, which is nice. But I don't need to inspect that one, do I? Don't need to inspect it at all, because what am I checking for? Checking they've got stores, checking they've got space. So they've got space for stores. Oh yeah, this is the one that's chimneyed a little bit, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to put that way just because of all the bees on the top. Saves me using some smoke. So yeah, so when to inspect, which is going, it sort of also then goes back to what I was saying just now about when they're into swarming. If you just knock those queen cells back and you come back on your weekly inspection, because that's when you're always supposed to inspect, chances are your swarm's going to have gone. So the answer to that is to get some experience and know your bees. So, because sometimes you can get away with 2 weeks, 3 weeks without inspecting your bees. If your bees have, if you've just done a split and you've put a queen in and she's happily growing and you've put her into a big box with loads of space, you don't have to inspect her week on week. If you've got your single queen cell, look at that, that's lovely. So if you've got your single queen cell in there, and she's emerged, leave them alone for a couple of weeks. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get mated, so that could be 3 weeks before you go back in and check to see to make sure you got a mated queen. So yeah, it can be different. This week, for example, I'm out here on day 6, and the reason I've come on day 6 is because 2 fields that way, there's a big festival this weekend. So all the roads around here this weekend, from Friday onwards, or from Thursday onwards, are going to be absolutely gridlocked. So I don't want to come anywhere near here over the weekend, so I've come a day early. But then obviously that's weather dependent. And I just love the way they keep them quite small, and every colony is different. This one's got lots of drone brood on it. There's my queen. So let's see if you can see her. Spot the queen. Right, so quickly before I leave this this colony, then just reiterate what we said on inspections and how often you inspect. Like I said, it's knowing your bees and what they need. So because that festival's on, that's going to be what we've got: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days, and then depending on the weather next week. Although it looks good. But these girls, I can miss an inspection on these 2 now, because that one was the nuke that was that from a split. So because they'd already swarmed once this year, or they didn't swarm, we prevented the swarm because from swarm cells. That's only a small colony, loads of space. That's going to be all right for another, or even 3 weeks, but I wouldn't let it go that long. So 2 weeks. And this one, we've had that carnelian in it. Nice slow build up, loads of space. So again, probably don't need to inspect that one next week. Both queens are present, both are clipped, so they couldn't go far even if they wanted to. So that's that. So that's both of these ones done. That wouldn't need inspecting. We could certainly leave them for probably 2 weeks if we wanted to. Right, let's move on. So one of you eagle-eyed people spotted this and asked me a question. What was this? So this was just something that I made up. I'm not one to keep the smoker in my hand all the time. I know some of you do, and some of you, if it's got the cage on it, will keep it between your legs like that. I don't like that, because quite often the smoke changes directions and I get a mouthful of it, so I don't like that. So on there, because as you know, I'm on double frames or triple frames, can leave the smoker on the other hive. That's fine, because you can't do that on a poly hive, because otherwise it would melt it. So I made this. It's from an old piece of aluminium. This is just an offcut. It's wiped clean, but that's just an offcut of a shower when we had the bathroom done. That's some of that shower board, so it's just an offcut of that, and that is just a pot to keep all the excess wax in, and that just goes around with me, sits on the poly hives, and then I can put my smoker on it, and life's good. And then I've got the pot there to take all my old wax when I need to. So that's what we use that for. Right, I can't remember this one, so I'm going to have a very quick look at my notes and see what's going on with this one. So there we are. So I keep, I don't know if I've told you before, but I've got an app, B Plus it's called, which I use to record my inspections. But I record the briefest amount of information on it, and then what I do is I take that home and I sit down and I transfer that onto my written copies, because then that way that allows me to think about each colony, have a think about what I need to do, what equipment I need to take on the next visit. Not so bad if you only got 1 or 2 hives. When you've got 10, it's different. For example, I couldn't remember what was going on with this one. So I've had a quick look, and what happened with the inspection of this one last week was we've put a queen excluder between the brood, because it's got manly frames in there, which are, manly frames are good for supers, but they're not really good as brood. So yeah, and the other thing I'm doing on this inspection, because the weather is gorgeous, I'm literally taking the time now to clean up every box, you know, get rid of all the guff from the winter and stuff, because I've got that time to do it. So for example, going into this crown board where the old feeder's been, there's old fondant stuck there and what have you, and a few dead bees. So we're just scraping up every box and making it ready to use again. So I don't know if I mentioned this citizen science project. It's just they're just doing this project studying propolis. So this is just a propolis screen on the top, and it's just literally on the top of the top box, a few bits of wood like that on top of the propolis screen around the outside, just to create a little gap, which makes them propolis it up, and then keep it on for 2 months. It's a bit of a pain, but you know, it's a good thing that's being done, so we need to do that. So, but this is on top of the super, and it's heavy, so it really is quite heavy. I can see they're across pretty much every frame. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to give them another super. Now what I like to do with my supers is just put them straight on top and just keep burning. And it's a bit of a personal choice really, whether you put it on the top or underneath. The way I see it is if I put them on, so this one will probably have some pollen in it around the bottom ends. So especially when I'm doing cut comb, I like to put the next box on the top, which is going to be all stores. There'll be no pollen in that at all, just be all nectar. But on this case, what I don't want to do is keep taking this screen off. So what I'll do on this occasion, I will put the super on underneath. And of course, the other thing about putting the new super on top is when they stop, the top box is then normally the lightest when you got to lift it off. But just because of that, I'm going to put a new super literally on top of this one. Right, so we don't need to be in long. Hello, ladies. Quick check of the queen excluder. So what you'll get told as well on the courses and things is that you lift the queen excluder up and you put it upside down, to just in case the queen is on top. So on these type queen excluders where the bee space is on this side, I don't like to do that, because if I put that straight on top there, any bees that are on top of that frame, or any bees that are on this side of the queen excluder, are going to get crushed. So I make sure there's no queen on there. Just to be on the safe side, I'll give it a quick shake, but then I put it the right way around. Just like that. Right. Hello, ladies. Not a particularly big box of bees. Queen should be in here somewhere. So when you're giving yourself space, you take your dummy board out the back, and you take a frame out, that gives you space to work. But if they're not built up and you've got 2 empty frames, take 2 out. Give yourself more space. Right, I'll just go through this box quickly. Right, so that's this one inspected. Nice little box actually. It's decided to take off now, which is nice. So I don't know if you remember, this one was on a nadir. So remembering the nadir is where all the brood was in the half box as a sort of leftover from last year, and they weren't really doing much in the bottom box. So what we've done now, in order to get them off that one, is we've there was a frame of brood in the bottom one. We've popped the queen on there, and we've put a queen excluder on. And now in that bottom box, they're across 6 frames of brood, plus what's left of the brood in the top one. So that's really nice. And don't forget, we also gave a frame of eggs to the one that we're not sure about, the queen cell. So these are doing really, really nicely now. So queen's in now. I saw the queen. It's all good. Just a nice box of bees. Nice and calm. All that messing around I've just done with them. So that's good. I've still got the queen excluder at the moment, because they're only on 6. And what I thought I'd do is I'll give them another week. We'll inspect these next week, and we'll let them hopefully fill some more up in the bottom box. And then what was in the nadir, because that's had the brood in it, we're going to give them that back again as a half brood. But I have now put a super on, so if they do need space now, they'll start moving stores up to the top. So yeah, lovely, nice little box. I think what we'll do now, because we've torn our glove, is we will go and wash our hands, give the hive tool a really good clean, swap it over with another one again, and then we'll come back to do the last 3 boxes. Okay, so this colony is a little bit chopsy. This is one that we split last week. Check the notes. It's usually a really nice colony, so why is it chopsy this week? Well, probably because it hasn't got a queen. It's one of the reasons why they can go a little bit spicy. When I say chopsy, you just know the difference. There is a real difference between a nasty colony and a colony that's just not happy. And this is one of those that's just not happy because they haven't got a queen. So all I need to do with this one is I remember last time the queen was up in this top box. Again, I didn't mark it. Foolish. Come on, Briggsy, get into the habit of doing things again. So we just need to make sure that queen cell's either emerged or is still there. So I won't film it all, but when I find it, I'll tell you. A little bit of smoke. You got. So there we are then. There's our queen cell, and it's a nice queen cell. You see it there? Now with queen cells, I should have shown you that other one. There she is. This one I reckon's got a couple of days left in it, because normally when they're about to pop, you can just see the end. You can just see the end starts to go brown, which that one hasn't yet. Now I've got to be careful with it. Fortunately it's not hanging down lower, but it is obviously going into the a little bit into the slot of the one next to it. So we know that's on the red one. We just got to be really careful. Hello. Well, what an absolutely beautiful evening. That was a hot one today, mind. So what have we been up to? Where are we at? With 3rd of May. So we were at night before last, we were at a meeting. That's for the local Beekeepers Association. Last night we were at a talk. We've also been out to look at 2 lots of bees in buildings. One of them we are actually going to cut out, and I'll show you that when we come to do it. And the other one again we couldn't do. We've been out to help a friend with some bumblebees. She said they were honeybees, but they weren't. They ended up being bumblebees, but we just moved them. And today we did this fencing, which was a bit hot and sweaty. So you see what I've done. It's just a simple. The lady that lives in the house has been wonderful, and she's let me use this little bit of. I wonder if I can do a little bit of an area that you can see here. Yeah, which is really quite well sheltered. And this is, as I say, the new apiary. So we've put a little bit of fencing in. She's more than happy for us to do that. And you can see there's a piece missing. And I've got the 2 rails to do it, and all there is going to be slip rails, which will go in that spot there to allow me access in and out. So it's quite late. We're about 8 o'clock. We're back up at the apiary, waiting for the girls to go to bed. I don't know if you can. See, they are still flying. So what have we done? So so I'm operating this from my phone. It's brilliant. I knew I could do this. So the smaller green one that you can see there, that was a split I did from the the girls from my out apiary, and they're the ones I told you about. They're not massively aggressive, but they will follow you a short way and they'll ping you, and they're a little bit more tetchy at the moment because they're queenless. So there was, when I looked in on Monday, there was no queen cells, or very horrible little things. So I think they've lost their main queen cell and they're just trying to do their best to recover. And again, when I went in today, they're pretty much hopelessly queenless. So what I've done, I've moved them over. So I moved them just from the end of that double stand you can see onto that single one. So that's only 60 centimetres, something like that. It's only less than a metre. Because what I plan to do is I plan to merge them with the girls in that camouflage hive. Because those are those girls, I don't know if you remember, everything's there that's supposed to be there, but just really, really small. They don't seem to have been taken off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge them. I've set it up ready. It's got the newspaper and everything ready to go. But I've only just moved them a metre, so I'll move them again. I'll do that tomorrow evening. And all I've got to do is sit the green box on top of the camouflage box. Now, because that's a small colony with a queen, if those girls do decide they are going to fight them, the ones in the green box, and destroy them, at the end of the day, if they raise a new queen from what's in that camouflage box, it's going to be a better queen than what they've got. So I'm hoping they'll just merge and life will be good. So that's what's going on there. And then in the reason we're here this evening, this box is that swarm that we had exactly a week ago. So I've been in there today, and I just put the super box on top over a queen excluder in the week, just to give them some space because the colony was huge. Well, within a week, they've drawn out both those boxes. They've absolutely stuffed it with stores, and now there's brood in there, albeit eggs, because obviously they've drawn it out, laid the eggs, and very, very, very young larvae. So what I need to do is they need to have an oxalic acid treatment for Varroa, because as I said before, I don't know anything about these girls. However, Houston, we have a problem, and the problem is they need more space now. They need another box. And if I put a super on there now and then do an oxalic acid treatment, I won't be able to take any honey from that super. But they kind of need the space now. Ideally, I'd like for them to be a bit further along, maybe sort of day 7, something like that, before they actually seal the cells, just so that brood pheromone's really, really strong and it keeps the girls there. But I'm going to have to do it now because as I said, there's only eggs in there and young brood. Hopefully that's going to be enough. So we're just waiting for the rest of them to go to bed, and then we'll give them a treatment. So oxalic acid is a good way of treating them. It's a gas treatment, and I'll film it. I'll show you when I do it. But it's best, you've either got to do it over sort of 3 weeks and give them 2 lots, because any Varroa that are in the sealed cells are not going to be got, if you like. So if you do it twice, sort of 3 weeks apart, you will get them all. Or you do it when there's brood break on. So usually the only time I oxalic acid is between Christmas and New Year, when there is an obvious brood break. We'll give them a treatment then, or when I take a swarm. So we're trying really, really hard for breeding Varroa resistant bees. Every colony gets checked once a month for its Varroa numbers, and I'll show you that when I do it. And across the board they're quite low. So I've got to the position where I would say 60-70% of my colonies don't get any autumn treatments, Apivar or Apigard or anything like that. It's only they only get an oxalic acid, as I said, between Christmas and New Year. Because we're managing to get the Varroa numbers low, and we're doing that by breeding from queens that are Varroa resistant. But obviously, because it's a swarm, this one, I don't know anything about it. So rather than if it is full of Varroa, and I don't want it just filling the apiaries up with Varroa. So when we do our Varroa treatments, we need to put the Varroa screens in. Now, the only time I ever put Varroa screens in is when I'm doing Varroa checks. That's it. Some people keep them in through the winter and things like that. But I think, hello you. So cold is not the problem for the bees. They will they'll get the hive to the right temperature no matter what the time of year. The problem for the bees is condensation. So I leave the varroa screens out so it gets plenty of air in there, and obviously reduces the condensation. So I've got anyway, but because we're doing the varroa check, we've got to put the varroa screens in. So and I can't remember which hive it is. So I've bought both. One of them will fit. Okay, so the kit that I'm using is gas VAP, and if you Google it, you can find it. Although somebody told me that they're not making them anymore, but there's plenty of other oxalic acid type treatments you can do. But the gas VAP, it's quite clever really. I reckon the guy must have been a plumber, because it's just plumbing parts really. So it's little blowtorch, like the one that chefs use to flambe the old pudding, and then it's a connector that goes onto it with a pipe, and that's all you need when you're using wooden hives. But for poly hives there's an extension, and as we're using a poly we need to do that. So that's going to go on there, and that just literally screws to the front of that. So that's looking like that, and the idea is that when the blowtorch is going, it heats up the tablets. Now you can use tablets or powder. I use tablets, and for a full-size hive like this, you need 1.5 of those tablets. So 1.5 tablets, and then that goes in a little cap like that. And then once it's up to speed, we drop that on. That goes in the front of the hive, and we do our acid treatment. Right, this stuff though is quite nasty to humans, or it can be, so we also need other protection. We've got goggles. It's the only time you'll ever see me wearing leather gloves. Got leather gloves, and that's not for stings or anything like that. That's just because the thing gets hot, so to touch it afterwards. And respirator, and the filters on these are for not organic, biological filters. And also you've got to try and stand downwind of it when you're actually putting it into the hive. So we're ready to go. Bees got to go in a little bit more, but we've got everything ready. We just wait for the bees, the last of the bees, to go to bed, and we'll give them a treatment. Right, we're ready to go. I hope you can hear me all right. Now I've got my respirator on, and the difference between when we do them in the summer like this to when we do them in the winter. When we do them in the winter, we don't normally need to have a bee suit on, because they tend to stay in if it's cold. So got to stay. So what I've done at the moment is I've put a hive tool. Don't know if you can see it. Let me try and zoom in for you. And the reason for the hive tool is just metal, and it just protects the poly from melting when I use, because it does get quite hot, this thing. Let's get that lit. It needs to warm up, and then what we do is, once it's all warmed up, what we got to do then is we just drop this onto the top of that. Just wait till the smoke to come out, and then we rest it on that hive tool. And the girls will get a bit pissy probably. There we go, it's starting to go now. Go through that. So we see smoke start to come out the end like that. And push that in the hive. And that's it. That, probably that. There we are then. Now they take a while to get off. If you recommend, if you do buy this thing or one of these, they are pretty good, but buy an extra couple of caps if you've got more than a couple of hives, because they get really hot and you've got to wait for them to cool down before you can reuse them. So if you got, maybe I've got 6, so I can line them all up, 6, do one, and by the time I've done the 6th one, the first couple are cool enough, ready to go again. And sometimes, I can see that, as it cools down, you get a bit of residue, so downwind, if you put a blowtorch on that, that clears all that. But that's it, simple as that. So we'll just tidy this lot up. Hello, 4th of May. Yesterday we were at the doing the beginners course. That was quite good. Do enjoy doing that. And today we ain't got much in the way of bees today. All we're doing is these couple of nukes in the nuke yard, and that's all we got to do. But there's an apiary visit next Sunday, so a week today, to my place. The association's invited to come and have a look at my apiary and the new honey house and the likes. So there's a lot of work involved getting that up and running, ready for when them come to visit, because you know you've got to do the obligatory beekeeper, tea, coffee, cake, and all that kind of stuff. But there's also the place needs tidying up a bit, and gardens need mowing and all that kind of stuff. But today we're just gonna have a quick look in these nukes. So let's have a little look then. So this colony was, if you remember, up at the out apiary, we were just we wanted to test the daughters of some of our queens, the ones that we're considering using for queen rearing. Well, that's laid up a treat. So this is looking good. So I've got a frame that they've drawn on one side, starting to draw on the other side, and then we've got a frame of, right ladies, a frame of emerging brood with plenty of stores in it on both sides, so that's good. And then we've got a drawn frame full of eggs in that one, so that's good. You can see they're quite calm considering the weather. It's a bit overcast today, so there's not many flying, so it's a good opportunity to actually fully test the colony. So this one is completely stuffed with sealed brood. Sealed brood on that one. Sealed brood on both sides of that one. That's drawn now, it wasn't before, and they've started packing some nectar into there. That's nice. So I'm guessing then the last one might be just nectar. Let's have a look. Yep, and that's full of stores. So that's lovely. So we've got 1, 2 of stores, three nice full frames of brood in all stages. They're just pulling out the last frame and putting stores in it, so we'll drop that back in. That's good. The girls around the edge there. And Queenie, she's nice, and she was marked, but she was marked with that navy blue, which is rubbish because you can't see anything on it. So she's now been remarked. She's got a new coat on, and she's marked up with the light blue. Get you out of there without crushing you, my girl. And you are ready. All the girls coming to greet her. Get off. She's like, no, I'm having a holiday. I don't want to come out of here. There she goes. Oh, not diving. You're a bit of an exhibitionist, are you? You can see she's walking all the way along the top bar. Now she's gone in. Nice. So that colony is, let's get on my list and look, that colony is good for sale. I'm happy with that, and I'm happy that the daughter is quite good for the one we're potentially going to use to do some queen rearing. So extremely happy with that one. So here we are then at the observation hive. But Houston, we have a problem. So the girls have actually filled this now, completely filled it, and they now need to go into a big box. But what they've done now is, because I've left it just a bit too long, they've thrown up queen cells. We've got a few queen cells, so that means there'll be some on the other side. So this has come just a week too early, because I've got my apiary visit next Sunday, and I was hoping to be able to show this off. Oh, look at my observation hive. But the girls have forced my hand a little bit here, so because the plan was always to remove all of these, put them into a bigger box, take them away, and then put another small nuke in. But what I think I'm going to do on this occasion, just because of the visit next week, is I'm going to split this colony. So we're going to go in there, we're going to find the queen if we can, and we're going to take the queen out with what we got here. So that's a frame of brood, frame of cat brood, frame of cat brood, frame of cat brood, frame of cat brood, and a frame of that. So what we might do is we will take the queen away and 2 frames of brood, and we'll leave 2 frames of brood in here with stores in each. I think that's what we'll do. So a little mini split is what we're going to do. So let's get into them. We're all ready. We've got the smoker going. Let's get these frames out of here. So I've got a few days left in this. These queen cells are only a couple of days old, so I've still got another 4 or 5 days, but I haven't got 7 days. That's the problem. And I thought, well, if I do it now, that little split, at least they'll do some rebuilding and everything else before next weekend. And also today there's nobody at home, so because there's nobody at home, it's going to be even the dogs are away have gone out at the moment, because she must be a bait's taking them for a walk. So today is an ideal day to do it. I'm done with that. This is my first time going back into the observation hive, so it's all a bit new for me as well. Right. Hello girls, give you a quick smoke. So, first thing we've got to do is find the queen. So let's start with this one, which has got a queen cell on it. That might be the one we use. So if we take that one out to start with, we can get it out. Because I'm thinking, well, we might need a J tool. Right, hello gals, back again. It's only me. There we go, that's more like it. That's more like it. So, hive tool for the observation hive is a screwdriver. Right. Coming out. There we go. Right. There she be. Hello, Mrs. You could do with being remarked, I think. Just moving slowly and regally like a queen should. You go in there. Right, that's got you. Okay. Okay, so now having been through this, I've realised they weren't queen cells, they were play cups, but there's some pretty big play cups in there, and this hive is just stuffed. So they are going to swarm soon. So I'm going to do a preventative measure on that. I've never split from a nuke before, and I've split 3 ways from a full-size hive, but never split from a nuke. But as these girls have got plenty of frames of brood, and I want the observation hive to look, have everything that it needs to have next week for that visit, I'm going to do a split. So 3 frames in each box, queen in one, lots of eggs, young larvae in the other box, and then we'll see how it goes. So we need some new frames. So let's put, first of all, a frame up there. Would make sense. If they want to all, those girls all want to go up there, they can. You've got to come out of there though, girls. Nice and gently in. Good. So this is like when we do the rescues and the cutouts, it's exactly, or something very similar happens. As you know, the bees like to go up, they like to climb upwards. So where I've taken this out, look, they're all going up this one side and they're all crawling to the top. So I've put that frame in first so they can all crawl up there and hide behind there if they want to. So that's fine. Now we want to put in a frame of brooding all stages, or certainly, yeah, a frame of brood would be good. So what have we got? This one looks good. So we'll put that in there because that's got some stores on it as well. I need you out there though. Bit more smoke than we would normally use, but we're just wanting to get them out of the hole there where they're hiding. So we can put that in. So again, nice and gently in with that, so they'll move out the way. And we put it back. That's that frame. Okay, now we'll put another empty frame in. Again, all the girls are hiding in there. You're going to come out of there, girls? There you go. Well, who would have thought? Well, I've used a screwdriver as a hive tool many times when you get to your out apiary and realise that you've left all your hive tools in the solution, or you've left the solution behind. Quite often use a screwdriver. I kind of needed that on this one, and let's take these off of here. These little play cups, just so we know they're not trying again. Right, now we want another frame of emerging brood. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that was a bit epic. That's the first time we've done that. Actually gone in to the observation hive. So like I said, just as a recap then, I wouldn't normally split a nuke into 2, but it can be done, providing they've got enough stores and things like that to be going on with. So that's what we've done. So there's half the colony is in that nuke box. I'm going to take that up to my out apiary, so all the flying bees don't come back to here, and in here is the queen. So it's got another week now that we can look at her daily and see how she's getting on. And the bees that are around here, hopefully they'll find their way around the other side into the entrance. Right, let's move this nuke. So here we are then. It's one of those other swarms, the swarm I was just talking about, and this one's on a tree, so obviously we're not going to be able to shake that. So what we're going to do with this one is simply brush it down into the box, and hopefully we'll get the queen in the box. We'll see. But yeah, let's set my camera up and see what we can do. Okay, so that looked a bit epic. There's still loads of bees up there, so we might have to have another brush, but we need to have a look at these girls here. They seem to be fanning, which is quite good. They're not taking out of there and going back again, so let's hope Queen is in there. Let's give them 20 minutes and see what happens. So there we are, Richard, Stu, that's my wisteria. So the only reason we're up here is just brought that up, which is the that swarm we've just collected. So that's I don't know, I've got a feeling they might not be. They were a bit pingy, and as a swarm, they're not normally like that. And I've just opened them up, and they've all flown out. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll give them a couple of days to settle now, and then we'll come back and look at them. Full box of bees though. They're sat over 6 frames, which is nice. So they will need to go in a full-size box soon. But we'll have a quick look at them. I don't know, probably Tuesday, something like that. And if they are a bit spicy, we'll take them up to the out apiary and settle them down there, requeen them. Hello. So here we are. It's what is it? I think it's about the 7th of May, and we're just up at the new apiary, checking on this merge, see if that's gone all right, and also checking on that swarm that we picked up day before yesterday. Just make sure that, because that all I want to do with that swarm is just check. Well, I want to check what the temperament's like. So they're a bit pingy, and if the temperament's a bit rubbish, I'll leave them in that little box, and we'll take them straight up to the out apiary tomorrow. But if it's but if it's okay, then we'll just transfer it into a big box here, and we'll do that. Right, girls. What's up there? Okay. Have you chewed through? Oh yeah, you've chewed through. Oh, look at you, big wax moth. You can go. Right, now the queen must be down here because queen excluder's on. So what we got? Yeah, this is what we wanted. We definitely wanted to do this. Now we've merged these up, we've got quite a nice sized colony. Look at that. There she is, nice red queen. So you're still about and we're all merged. That's nice. So let us get them down onto one box. Right, so we need a super queen excluder for you. Right, so merge was successful, queen was in there. There was a few queen cells in the top one, but that's because I put a frame of eggs and young larvae when it was over there to test it was queenless, and it is. So we've just merged that down into one full-size box now, which is absolutely stuffed. And what I'll do is, because I didn't bring one, is I'll pop home in a minute and I'll just pop back up here and we'll put a super on top of that. So that's that one done. Okay, so let's have a little look at this. This is the swarm we picked up, little swarm. And like I said before, I literally just want to see what its temperament's like. If its temperament's good, then it's going into a full-size box here right now. If temperament's not so good, it'll come up with me to the out apiary tomorrow. So let's just not put her... Hello, you. Hello, girls. Let's see ya. Let's see ya. See what you like. Okay, well, you seem all right. Obviously, you get this, you get quite a few, because obviously when they were coming out as a swarm, you know, they were all over the place, weren't they? So you do get a few dead bees, you get a few casualties, not really much you can do about it. But the girls can't get rid of them if they're squished, so before they get too squished, we'll just get them off. Good. Right, ladies, can I have a look at you? Is that okay? Can we do that? See what you like. Okay, you're all right. Actually, this is only on, well, they're on all the frames, but the last two they're not. So all I'm going to do is inspect them, move the frames this way, and then put that one on the end. It's the simplest way of doing things. Right, let's see if we can... Oh, they're well and truly waxing though. They want to stay here, which is nice. All right, girls. See if we can see a queen in here whilst we're going through. These are calmer than what they thought they'd be, although they are in my face a little bit. But they've not got any brood at the moment, have they? Yeah, I can feel them in my face at the moment. I think I will take these ones up to the out apiary, because obviously if they're nasty or they turn nasty, I've got to move a whole box. Whereas it's really simple for me to move this box now. Just filling that out with nectar, girls. Oh, and I can smell bananas. You get a smell of bananas, then you know that that's the pheromone that says that we're under attack. And there's eggs in there, so one day so that's the beauty about putting in a frame of drawn comb. It means you can get in there straight away and start laying, and the moment there's brood pheromone, they're going to stay. Right, so if there is eggs, where's your mama? Where's your mama? She's got to be here somewhere. Somebody's got to put those eggs in. Where is she? Well, if I do find her, I'm not going to clip and mark her today, because she's literally, there she is. Jesus, she's a big old girl. She's got a big girl. Probably got buckfast in her because she's a nice big old orange one. You see her in there? Spot the queen. There she be. Okay, so I'm in two minds about this colony. Now I've been in there, there are a couple that are just flying around my face, which is not normally, I don't like that normally. They're not actually pinging me, they're just literally flying around, they're busy around me, which normally is not even enough to put them up to an amber, and especially because this colony is new, brand spanking new. We've literally just put them here. They're literally a swarm. We still don't know much about them, So what I'm going to walk away to the truck, see if I get any follow me, because that's another indication. But I think I've made my decision. I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to take this colony to the out apiary just to be on the safe side. Because at the end of the day, I can come up here tonight, because I'm going to the out apiary tomorrow. No, I'm not. I'm going to the out apiary on Thursday. So I can come up here tomorrow night. I can just close up the front of this. It's nice and light. We can take this, and it's simple, isn't it? Whereas if we put them into a big old box, then we've got to we've got to take that box with us. So that, I think, is the decision I've made. Decision made. Nowhere near as bad as I thought they were going to be. So that just goes to show, doesn't it? But yeah, nice looking queen. Right. Wow, what a beautiful morning. It's only about 7:45. Yeah, 7:45, and look, the bees are already flying. When I walked the dogs this morning, the bees on the lime tree over there, just going crazy. And it's been a crazy month again. So there's no way I'm going to get all May down into one video. So I'm going to do the same as last month. I'm going to stop the video here, and we'll have May in 2 parts, maybe even 3 the way it's going. So that's the first part of May finished. Thanks for watching. Hope you're getting something from it, and we'll see you on the next one.